Imagine this. One day you wake up and the person you love is gone. Only the echo of their voice remains. Only footprints in the dust remain. Their scent is still in the room, but they are not. Now imagine that you are not just anyone. You are an emperor. Your word is law for thousands. Yet your heart is completely powerless. This is where the story begins. This is not the story of a ruler. It is the story of a broken heart. Today, the world sees it as a monument. People take photographs, movies call it the symbol of love. But almost no one asks, what kind of pain is hidden behind these white marble walls? Once upon a time, the Mughal Empire ruled India. On the throne sat a man named Shah Jahan. He was powerful, but there was something greater than his power, a woman named Taj Mahal. Their marriage was not just politics. She was not simply his queen. She was his companion in every sense. Mumtaz stood beside him in campaigns, remained silent through palace intrigues, traveled with him tirelessly. They did not live for the throne. They lived for each other. And one day, everything ended in a childbirth room. While giving birth to their 14th child, Mumtaz Mahal faded like a candle melting in the dark. History says that, in that moment, the emperor changed. He stopped shaving. He forgot how to smile. Music in the palace stopped. Celebrations were canceled. An entire empire went silent. And with her last breath, Mumtaz whispered, "Build me a tomb. That will remind people what love truly is." Shah Jahan made a vow. He would not just build a grave, he would create a monument of love carved in stone. Years later, the world would call it the Taj Mahal. For some, it is just a tourist site. For others, it is an architectural miracle. For many, it is a dream every lover wants to see at least once. But let me ask you something. Is it really a monument to love? Or is it the cry of an emperor's empty heart? Is this monument truly romantic? Or is it a massive display of imperial power built with the sweat, tears, and exhaustion of thousands? In a moment you will hear who actually built this wonder, what secrets it hides, and why the emperor spent his final years as a prisoner. And maybe at the end of this video, you will decide for yourself. Is the Taj Mahal a symbol of love? Or is it a monument to how helpless humans are in the face of loss? If you're ready, let's lift the veil behind the white marble together. This story did not begin in the cold walls of a palace. It began in the warmest place a human being has, the heart. He was not yet an emperor. People simply called him Prince Khurram. One day in the palace garden, he saw a girl. At that moment, thrones, gold, armies, power, none of it mattered anymore. Her name was Arjuman Banu Begum. History would later give her another name, Mumtaz Mahal, meaning the jewel of the palace. No one knew that the glance shared between these two young people would change the fate of an entire empire. Their first meeting was simple. The sky did not crack open, statues did not move, history books did not tremble. Two people simply looked at each other. The next day, Prince Khurram would say, "When I looked at her, I saw the rest of my life." Palace protocol was strict. There were rules, politics, arranged marriages, but the heart follows a different law. They did not rush. For years, they kept their promise to each other. Whenever the prince went on campaign, he left her a letter. Mumtaz would fold each letter and hide it inside a silk handkerchief. They were not only lovers, they became confidants, friends, a safe place for one another. Finally, the day came. The palace did not feel like stone and marble anymore. It felt like a heart beating. Music echoed, torches burned, prayers rose to the sky. They married. But this marriage was not just a ceremony. After it, one unwritten rule appeared in the palace. Wherever Shah Jahan went, Mumtaz went with him. On military campaigns, on long journeys, even through the most dangerous days of palace intrigue. She was not just a queen. She was the inner voice of the emperor. Mumtaz loved simplicity in a world drowning in wealth. She valued not jewels, but the bread she shared with the poor. Those who lived in the palace said, only one voice could calm the emperor's anger, Mumtaz's voice. Before making a dangerous decision, he would look into her eyes. This love had no conditions. It was not about the throne. It was not calculated. They lived for each other. Years later, Shah Jahan would write, "I had a crown, but she was the crown of my heart. They had 13 children. They were companions, in the truest sense of the word. After every victory, he sent news to her first. After every defeat, he found his first comfort in her presence. This story was not written with ink and paper. It was written with dust of long roads, whispers of palace nights, trembling hands raised in prayer, and no one knew that one day a shadow of death would fall upon this love. But such is love's fate sometimes. It brings people together, and then it tests them. What begins next is no longer just the story of love. It is the story of an emperor who could not bear the absence of the one he loved. Mumtaz Mahal died while giving birth to her 14th child. History tells us that the emperor seemed to grow old overnight. He did not leave the palace for days. He did not even cut his beard. Music was stopped. Celebrations were canceled. With her last breath, Mumtaz asked one thing from her husband: "Build me such a tomb that people will remember what love truly is." Shah Jahan swore an oath, and from that moment on, the story of the monument began. The promise had been made. One woman's last wish became the greatest architectural project the world had ever seen. The year was 1632. Shah Jahan gathered the finest minds across the empire. Architects from Persia and Central Asia, stone carvers from India, calligraphers from Baghdad, jewelers from Samarkand, master builders from across the Mughal world. It was not just construction. It was an empire moving in a single direction. Taj Mahal did not rise in a year, or two, or five. For more than 2 decades, thousands of hands shaped stone into poetry. More than 20,000 craftsmen and laborers worked on it. Some arrived on foot. Some came with caravans of camels and elephants. Some brought their families because they knew this project would outlive seasons, and perhaps outlive them. The site was chosen with care. On the banks of the Yamuna River, the foundation went deeper than the eye could see. Engineers built wells filled with stone to stabilize the earth, so that centuries later the building would still stand firm. Huge slabs of marble traveled from distant quarries in Makrana. They crossed deserts, forests, and rivers, loaded on elephants and ox carts. Gems and precious stones came from across the world. Jade from China, turquoise from Tibet, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, sapphire from Sri Lanka, carnelian from Arabia. Each stone was placed by hand, not as decoration, but as a whisper of love frozen in marble. The architects pursued perfect symmetry. Every line, every shadow, every arch mirrors another. 4 minarets were built, leaning slightly outward on purpose. If disaster struck and an earthquake shook the earth, they would fall away from the tomb, not onto it. This was not just art. It was engineering brilliance, centuries ahead of its time. Day after day, the sound of chisels echoed, hammer against marble, footsteps on scaffolding, the murmur of prayers. There were no machines, no cranes, no modern tools. Human strength lifted what seemed impossible to lift. Wooden ramps stretched long distances, and stones slid upon them with ropes and oil. It is said elephants helped pull blocks as heavy as dreams. At night, the site glowed in torchlight. Builders slept near their work, waking to continue the next dawn. This was not just construction work, it was devotion. Inside the mausoleum, artists carved vines and flowers into stones so delicate that shadows themselves seemed alive. Calligraphers wrote verses of the Quran in black marble, letters growing larger the higher they went, so that from the ground they appear perfectly the same size. The main dome rose like a drop of moonlight. When sunlight touched it, it gleamed gold. When clouds passed, it faded into gray. Under the full moon, it did not look real at all. It looked like something dreamed. But behind beauty, there was cost. Treasuries were emptied. Caravans of silver and gold disappeared into the project. Taxes rose in parts of the empire. Some chronicles speak of workers exhausted, backs bent by stone and time. Whether myth or truth, stories spread that Shah Jahan vowed no other monument should rival this one, that craftsmen's hands were injured to ensure it could never be repeated. Historians debate those tales, but one fact remains. Taj Mahal demanded everything from an empire and gave the world something timeless in return. When the last stone was set and the scaffolding came down, Shah Jahan walked through the gates and saw his vow standing before him. White, silent, infinite. A promise turned into architecture. Grief turned into beauty. Love turned into stone. And from that day onward, travelers who saw it did not describe a building. They described a feeling. The feeling that human hands, when guided by love and obsession, can shape eternity. The Taj Mahal is often spoken of as a love story in marble, but today we will leave the romance aside. We will look at it the way architects, engineers, and designers do. Not as a legend, but as one of the most advanced architectural achievements in human history. The geometry of perfection. The very first secret is hidden in its geometry. The Taj Mahal complex is based on precise mathematical ratios. 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 3 to 5. The main structure is not simply beautiful, it is mathematically balanced. The dome, the arches, the minarets, the courtyard and the water channels are organized along a perfect axis. If you split the complex down the center, the left and right sides mirror each other with surgical precision. This is symmetry not by chance, but by Islamic geometric philosophy, the belief that harmony reflects divine order. The engineering beneath the ground. Visitors see white marble. What they don't see is the engineering underground. The Taj Mahal sits next to the Yamuna River on soil that is soft and unstable. So architects built a forest of stone wells beneath it. Hundreds of wells were filled with stone and timber, creating a floating foundation that distributes the weight of the monument. This system acts like shock absorbers against floods, moisture, land movement. Some engineers believe this is the reason the Taj Mahal still stands straight after nearly 400 years. Minarets that lean on purpose. Look closely at the 4 minarets. They are not perfectly vertical, they lean slightly outward. This is not a mistake. This is a safety system. If an earthquake occurs, the minarets will fall away from the tomb, not onto it. The Mughals designed a fail-safe centuries before earthquake-resistant technology existed, a dome that controls light and sound. The main dome is one of the most perfect in the world. It works in 2 ways. 1. Light. The marble is translucent. Sunlight enters the stone and scatters inside it. That is why the Taj Mahal changes color. Pink at sunrise, white at midday, silver blue at night, the dome becomes a lantern of light. 2. Sound. Inside the main chamber, a single whisper travels in circles. The double dome system amplifies sound naturally. Prayers once rose upward without microphones, filling the chamber evenly. Architecturally, the dome is not just decoration, it is an acoustic and optical instrument, the calligraphy illusion. Around the main gate are verses from the Quran. From the ground, they appear perfectly the same size. In reality, the letters at the top are much larger than those at the bottom. This is perspective engineering. Your eyes look upward, and distance makes objects appear smaller. The architects solved this by scaling letters so they appear identical from the human viewpoint. Centuries before graphic design, they mastered visual correction. The water mirror. The long reflecting pool in front of the Taj Mahal is more than decoration. It is a designed illusion. The building is reflected perfectly in still water, creating a double image, one real and one mirrored. This symbolizes heaven and earth, life and afterlife, seen and unseen worlds. Architecturally, the water also cools the surrounding area, reducing heat around the white marble structure. Form and function together. The gardens as architecture. The garden is part of the building. It is not landscape, it is architectural space. It follows the Charbagh layout, 4 main sections divided by water canals representing the rivers of paradise. The garden is designed for movement, straight walkways, perspective framing, controlled views. Every step creates a new visual composition, like moving through a living painting. The invisible twin, the river axis. Architects align the Taj Mahal, not with the city, but with the river. The Yamuna is part of the design. The monument and the river create a single axis, stone and water moving in harmony. Across the river lies the Mehtab Bagh, the moonlight garden, perfectly aligned with the Taj Mahal so that visitors can see it under full moonlight. This is architecture spread across landscape, not limited to walls. Closing. The Taj Mahal is not only a symbol of love, it is an earthquake-resistant structure, a masterpiece of geometry, an optical illusion in marble, a controlled sound chamber, a cooling system of water and stone, a landscape aligned with the heavens. It is not just built to be seen, it is built to be experienced. That is the true architectural secret of the Taj Mahal. Sometimes history books do not lie. They simply do not tell everything. They tell us names, dates, wars, and victories, but they hide something deeper, the pain people carried in their hearts. They say the Taj Mahal is a monument built for love. Yes, once there were two people who loved here, Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal. They had laughter, they had secrets, they had words they spoke only to each other and never shared with the world. But time passed. The noise disappeared, the palace changed, the empire fell, and only one thing remained: stone. Today, millions of people look at the Taj Mahal. Some take photos, some simply stand and stare. Some say nothing at all because they feel something break quietly inside. The lovers are gone. Their voices, their scent, their footsteps have vanished. But the monument built for them remains. The stone remains. The marble remains. The silence remains. History is strange. People leave, but what is built for them often stays. Maybe that is why the Taj Mahal feels powerful, because it quietly whispers a truth to us. Love does not always live forever, but what is done in the name of love can become eternal. When we look at it, we do not just see architecture. We see the weight of loss. We hear the sound of separation. We feel how heavy memory can be. In the end, one question remains: should love remain, or is it enough that the memory of it survives? Maybe the answer is simple. People forget, time erases, but stone keeps the memory. Love fades, stone remains. Centuries have passed. The rulers are gone, the empire is gone, the people who built the Taj Mahal are gone, but the monument is still here. It stands quietly without words, yet saying everything. People come from around the world and stare at it in silence, because somewhere inside it feels familiar. The Taj Mahal is not only their story, it is ours. It is every love we lost, every goodbye we didn't want to say, every memory that refuses to fade. The marble does not shout. It whispers, everything living is fragile. Love, power, life itself. But what we do for love does not disappear. One day we will leave this world. Our names may be forgotten, but the love we gave, the hearts we touched, that is what remains. Love fades, stone remains.